Come to Terrace, BC, and it's easy to notice the love within the services in this small and spirited community. This is a show about the people and organizations that give back and make this area so awesome. This is Good in Terrace. In this episode, we visit the George Little House on Founders Day, a day to commemorate the founder of Terrace and celebrate the town's history.
George Little, my grandfather, but I note the size of the logs. Quite amazing.
Oh. Oh wow. Cool.
So, if you want to see this, okay, so this is
Really close.
stamp. It was in Clara Bessie Little's purse. And so Clara Bessie Little being my grandmother. And this purse, I forgot that I had it, and today when I was looking in the closet, here is this lovely purse. This purse here, her evening bag, and the brand name is ANDE, so a French name because of the slash. So two sections to it, side pocket. It has a chain.
Yeah, it looks well made. It's holding up for a while.
It is, yeah. And then the snaps there.
Oh, cool.
My mom had these, and then I've had them for quite a few years.
Did your grandmother, was she from Terrace?
Oh, no, actually my grandmother was American. She was from Seattle. And J.K. Gordon, who built the Terrace Hotel, which is now the Best Western, told my granddad that he should go to Seattle because there's a woman there who he would like to marry. So my grandfather went to Seattle, met Clara Bestie. They courted for 12 days and married, came back to Terrace. He had Lynn Christensen, who was our longtime counselor. He had her granddad, being my granddad's brother, build a cottage so that they would have a new home for his bride to live in. So the cottage sat exactly where Bluefin is today on Lake House Avenue. And then eventually the cottage was moved to Olson Avenue in the 4700 block. And it's been changed. It's not a heritage home, but anyway, that's where the cottage lives today. And before that took place, then they had Lynn's dad also build this George Little house in 1914, 15. And so it's very special. I had not been in here until 2004 for the first time with my mom when it was on Hall Street as a sleepless shelter a home for sleepless people.
This place was?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was for homeless people. And then it was moved here in 2004.
Wow.
And then reconstructed. And they asked my mom what was it like, for the floors, the finishes, and that type of thing.
Oh, really? Like how to remake it?
Yes, yeah, redo. So, I was never in it because I wasn't born when my grandparents were living in it, and my grandma died, and so it's nice to come here and think about what if. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
This year, statue was given to my granddad. He was the commissioner in Terrace, and he was given this trophy or this statue in 1927. And so it reads, George Little, founder of Terrace, first commissioner, 1927. Your wisdom and forethought rendered progress. Silver Jubilee, October 1st, 1952.
Well, I was born here, my mom was born here, and my granddad came here to build this house, the George Little house. He was brother of George Little. Will Little was my granddad, and he was in Vancouver. My grandma had immigrated to Vancouver. They were married there, and then he said, we're gonna go up to my brother way up in the wild north and build his first home because George Little was getting married. Clara was coming to live. And so George wanted a house built. So he asked my granddad, who was his carpenter brother, and another brother, Ab, I don't know what his full name was. But anyways, Uncle Ab and my granddad Will came up to build the house. And so they brought my grandma up here with the promise that she'd only be here 2 months. And when the house was done, then they would go back home, back to Vancouver. So yeah, here we are 5 generations later. My grandchildren are all here, my children. My dad's still living here, he's 92, and my 2 kids and my 4 grandchildren are all here in town. So 2 months, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
did she like it or did he convince her?
There were things she really liked. My grandma, they originally came from Ireland and then they lived in Liverpool, and she said Liverpool was a very dirty, industrious, very poor city then, and it was an opportunity for her and her 5 sisters. All 6 of them left Liverpool and came to Canada, and she loved the beauty, she loved the scenery and the nature and everything. She found mosquitoes in particular very difficult to deal with, and then she never saw her mom again when she came out to Canada. So she lived here in Terrace among a lot of her in-laws and people here, and never saw her own immediate family again. Raised 7 children here. My grandma was 35, my granddad 52 when they got married for the first time, and then they had 7 kids.
After that, wow.
Yeah. And mostly I think all but 1 were born in her home where the Royal Bank is located today, sometimes with a midwife or a friend, so that's how it went in those days. And yeah, so we're still here. It always makes me laugh when my granddad's promise was just to come up just for 2 months to build the house for his brother and then go back down to Vancouver.
Yeah, and you're in.
I had no ambition really to be in local government. I was really involved with our farmers market, and there came a time where the city council was kind of at odds with the farmers market. They really did not have a good connection, really understand what it was all about, so they had no value for it, and actually we're going to just kind of get rid of it. And so I kind of fought this battle. I was the president of the market and fought this battle with the city, and we were able to keep our spot at the time, and we've grown since then, and it's a wonderful market, and I think the council of the day and the community for sure sees the value in a farmer's market, what it can do for a community. So that was kind of my battle, and then after that people kept suggesting, why don't you run for council? I had no experience with government, and I was just an at-home mom with the little kids, and soon on my own with the little kids, and I was doing the job on council. I did it for almost a quarter of a century, 24 years.
Are you not on council anymore?
I'm not on anymore,
no.
not as of the last election, so it's been a big change for me. So my life is much more relaxed. It's very different, but I'm enjoying it. Well, I am connected with the people at the George Little House here. They always kind of remember that my granddad was the carpenter that built the home, and that my family has roots here and an attachment to the house. So I'm usually involved in whatever's going on down here. So it's just kind of nice to get together and have tea down here. And yeah, I've always thought it was so wonderful to be able to just sit in this house and look around and think. When my granddad built it, there were no power tools. It was all done with hand tools, and it's been a beautiful old home, and a real treasure to the community. And Debbie has, from the time they've moved it to this location, has made it a home for everyone. It's just given it such an atmosphere, just such a gem for people to be able to walk in and feel at home, and have the resource of all the information of the tourism information and information about the community here. And she's a wonderful hostess, and we've been very lucky to have her all these years looking after the George Little House here. Yeah.
Well, Founders Day, we've been celebrating since 2005 when we opened the house March 10th, and we wanted to celebrate, the pioneer history of the area. We are on Sipshin territory, it's Kitsum Kalem, but we wanted to celebrate the people that, did come into the area, like George, he was preempted 160 acres. And he's one person that had a vision to start a town. He named it Terrace after the benches. It's like hired a lot of his family and other people to start clearing the area and stuff, and it wasn't an easy task. He sold the 7 acres to the railway to come through because they needed the railway. That's why a lot of railways come through the town. He met Charles Hayes. Charles Hayes brought the railway through. Charles Hayes is the one that was on the Titanic when the Titanic went down, and that's why the railway never grew, like Prince Rupert never grew, is because Charles Hayes died on the Titanic. So 100 years later, because he knew the port was the best port, like better than Vancouver and Seattle. It's 2 days shorter than Asia, but once he died, the railway went into receivership. So just huge history in this area with stuff like that. And he started the sawmill, worked hard, never really became really rich, but just worked hard and had the vision to have Terrace here. Huge. And that's why we celebrate the Founders Day. So we used to do it at the banquet room every March 10th or the Saturday or whatever. We would do a vintage fashion show, like a fur fashion show, or bridesmaids of the area, or wedding dresses of the area. And pioneers used to bring all these things, and we used to remodel it, and we used to have it decorated in that era. And when we had our 100th anniversary of 1914 and 2014, we all dressed in 1914 apparel, and we got on the train and met the Winnipeg group. They were on there because of the 100 years of the train coming through, and we went to Rupert, and we celebrated in Rupert with 1914 get-up all weekend. Wow. And then we set up a model train from Prince George for the kids to ride in the parking lot here, and then we did a big fashion show and stuff at the arena, and we honored Lynn Christensen's mom and Julia Little and all of the people of that era that were still alive. And it's a good thing we did, because a lot of them died within that year after. Yeah. So Julia Little lived till she was 99. Yeah, which was Linda B's mom. And then Lynn Christian, her dad's still alive. But it's her mom that's related to Will. Lots of history. But when you watch that film by Telus, and filmed by Bamboo Shoots, it tells about all the history. So you have all the people talking about their family's history and the area's history.
And how can people find the film?
They can find the film if they go on, like if they have Optic TV and they go on the Telus and just search Terrace, and it'll come up, like Terrace Historical Walk. Mm-hmm. So this was the bedroom, and she was found right here, and there's a picture right there in that newspaper clip. See that shadow?
Yeah. So sorry, who was it?
So we think it was Clara Little, and she died, in her 50s in the house by a massive heart attack. So when I started here in 2005, you could always get certain feelings, especially up in some of the offices. We actually have her rocking chair, and I used to put the rocking chair in an office just for display, and the people that worked in the office said you have to move it because it rocks. So, and it definitely did. So the rocking chair is still upstairs, and then we had carvers downstairs, and they'd say, you guys were really noisy last night, and we were never here, at those times. And because Clara was here cleaning up. Because one of the things that she hated is if I left the house in a mess. If I had an event and left it, then she definitely would be very angry that we didn't clean up.
And what would happen?
She just would make a lot of noise, and people would hear it downstairs. And then she would hide my keys sometimes. Definitely I thought I was going crazy, but definitely she wouldn't want me to leave because she wanted me to, clean it up. And then one of the offices, I did a lot of paperwork, and I get a lot of pressure on my back that somebody was there. So I could not work in that office, and a lot of people feels the same way sometimes. It's a really heavy thing, and you'll sit in a chair and you'll actually fall asleep. It's kind of, I guess it's just that type of energy. Yeah.
And then so you called the...
Yeah, the Vancouver Paranormal were here to do the antique house on Park, 4626 Park. And I said, well, I don't think this one is haunted. They said, well, we got a call about this one. And I said, well, come to the George Little house. And they did, and they were glad they did, because they did pick up the image. And we actually had lots of carvers downstairs, and probably 3 or 4 of them passed away in their 50s. and they actually put a lot of sound equipment down there, and they actually picked up a voice. And I was really close to Robert Stanley. He was a master carver, and he had passed away, and I know it was his voice. Yeah, because he was talking in Nishka, and he only said 3 words, but it was very guttural, like from here. And whenever he would try teaching me Nishka, that's where it would come from. You know, when he wanted to enunciate it properly.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, and it, like they said, Debbie, like that, like we've never been able to pick something like this up because the basement's not old. But Robert never wanted to leave there because he loved carving. He could do any kind of imagery. Like he did wolves dancing across screens, and he did logos, and he did carvings and jewelry. Tourists would come, they would go downstairs, and he would do a ring for them while they were sitting there. Yeah, or like if they'd meet him, he would take them fishing. His wife would bring them back. Like he was an amazing person and died way too young. Yeah. And then Ron Telek was another one from the NAS. He was one of the artists that was like a shaman. So all his masks were inside of other masks. And people used to be really scared to talk to him or see his artwork because it was that kind of scary artwork. Yeah, and his images are still downstairs. So there's a lot of things. Ron Telek's got some unfinished work down there. There's unfinished artwork because another artist died, so their art doesn't get finished. So that energy, I feel, is still down there. Yeah. So it is kind of neat. But yeah, Clara's here at the house. So
And it doesn't spook you out?
no, because she's a good energy. She just didn't want to leave her home. You know, she loved this home. You know, like she was from Seattle when George met her. You know, she designed the house, and then they got Will Little to build it. And it was quite a stature, you know, image right on Main Street. It had a balcony that they would look over on their parade or their, you know, the sawmill and stuff like this. You know, she had hot water heat and toilets already in 1914. You know, so, you know, she definitely didn't want to leave her home. So I think she is still here. Yeah, so we just let her stay. So because people did ask me if they wanted us to, you know, take that energy out and stuff like that. And I said, no. If she's here to stay. Yeah.
That's good.
I think so too, right? Yeah.